Joining me now, as he does each and every week, is Sky News Australia's media watchdog, the one and only Gerard Henderson, on the desk, as always, on a Friday.
Thank you.
My favourite guest every week.
Oh, really?
Now, let's jump straight into it, because the ABC has been doing some very strange sleight of hand over this debate about what you're allowed to say when it comes to radical Islam. I'll keep saying radical Islam because it's a problem, and I like to call out problems. But let's play a grab from Sally Sara talking about Nazis and Christians. You've got to listen to it to believe it.
As we've been doing this interview, we're getting some text messages through on our text line. One says, "Hi Sally, in relation to Andrew Bragg's comments about the whole Muslim community taking responsibility for Bondi, if we could take this logic further, does it mean the Christian community should take responsibility for Nazi hate speech?" What do you think of that message?
Now, Gerard, it's an appalling notion, and I also want to point out that she's reading a question.
Yes.
In her defence, this is a notion from somebody else. But Hamish MacDonald, he challenged Senator Andrew Bragg on this, who has also made a similar argument, and he directly posed the question to him, should white people and Christians have to apologise for neo-Nazis?
Well, I think it's a kind of ABC view. I think Sally Sara read it because she wanted to read it, and she asked the question. And Hamish MacDonald on Metropolitan Radio in Sydney did the same. Now, this is hopelessly wrong, and it's really offensive. The Christian churches and the Nazis were in competition in Europe in the 30s. The Pope, Pius XI, issued an encyclical in 1937 condemning Nazism. And some of the heroes of the resistance to Hitler, like the Protestant Lutheran Bonhoeffer and the Catholic Bishop Clemens of Munster, was strongly opposed to Nazism. Bonhoeffer was murdered, and a bishop of Munster spent time in concentration camp and died soon after. So this is just completely wrong. There was no connection between Christianity and Nazism, because the Nazis were competing with the Christians. If you take the youth, for example, there was the Hitler Youth and there was the Catholic Action Youth, and they were competing. I mean, in the event, as we all know, Hitler won, Hitler prevailed, but there was opposition. So there's no connection between Christianity and Nazism. It's just offensive, and it's historically
also,
false.
What's the contemporaneous state of play when it comes to with the Catholic Church, for one? There is no connection.
Well, there's no connection whatsoever.
And so it's a false equivalence, and it's a very deceptive and a very dangerous way of avoiding it, because the problem is that, as we know with radical Islam in this country, in my opinion, the church, the leaders of the mosques, the imams, are not doing enough to push it out. And they're slow to react, and there is legitimate criticism that that community probably needs to self-regulate better. Otherwise, lawmakers will regulate on their behalf. And this is a political argument. So for the ABC to just dismiss that, suggesting, oh, well, white people have Nazis, I think it's an intentional, there's a degree of triviality behind it.
Well, there is, and there's another point about it too. I mean, the idea that all Christians are white is just ludicrous. They're not. But the real point was that the Christian churches opposed the Nazis. Now, that there was always collaboration somewhere or other, but the official position of the Christian churches, Protestant and Catholic, was against the Nazi movement, and many of them died because of that opposition. So it's very offensive, and it's a kind of rationalisation to get radical Islam off the hook by saying, well, what about over there? But over there wasn't a problem.
Gerard Henderson, thank you so much for joining me, as always. Really